Hello everyone, welcome to Neso Academy. We have successfully studied chapter number 6, Constructors and Destructors. Now we are in chapter number 7, and the name of this chapter is Inheritance. In this chapter, we will properly understand inheritance in C++. We are starting this chapter with this lecture, and the name of this lecture is Introduction to Inheritance. In this lecture, we will understand what is inheritance and how it works. So, without any further delay, let's get started and let's see what are the topics. The first topic is basics of inheritance. First, I will make your basics about inheritance completely clear. Then, we will move to the second topic where, through an example, we will understand how inheritance works in C++. So these are the topics. Let's start with the first one, basics of inheritance. Now, what is inheritance? In order to understand what is inheritance in C++, let's understand what is the meaning of inheritance in real world. In real world, many things share common traits but also have their own unique characteristics. This is true in the real world. There are many things in the real world that share some common traits, or we can say characteristics, but they also have their own unique characteristics. Let's take one example to properly understand this. Let's consider a group of animals. We know animals have some common characteristics. They can eat, they can walk, they can sleep, they can see. These are some of the common characteristics of animals. Now let's pick one animal from here. Let's pick dog. If we specifically talk about dog, then it also has some unique characteristics. For example, dog can bark. This is not true for most of the animals. Most of the animals do not bark, but dog can bark. And we also know dog gets the common characteristics from animals in general. So we can say this, that dog has inherited common characteristics from animals in general. And this relationship is shown with the help of this arrow. This arrow shows that dog has inherited some of the common characteristics from animals. This means dog inherits from animals. This is the meaning of inheritance in real world. When we say dog inherits from animals, this means dog has acquired common characteristics from animals. For example, dog can also eat. It can also walk. Now let's take one more example. Let's talk about cats in general. We know a cat can meow. This is the characteristic which is unique to cat. Also, it inherits common properties, or we can say characteristics, from animals. It can see, it can eat, it can walk. These are some of the common characteristics that are inherited from animals. Therefore, we can say cat inherits from animals. So this is how inheritance looks like in real world. Now let's understand the meaning of inheritance in C++. In C++, inheritance is all about acquiring the properties and behaviors of one class, which we also call the base class, into another class, which we also call the derived class. So in C++, inheritance is when derived class access properties that we also call data members and behaviors that we also call member functions from base class. And derived class also adds new features or modify existing properties of the base class. Apart from accessing the properties and behaviors from the base class, it also adds its own unique features, or it may modify the existing features of the base class. This is possible with inheritance. Now let's take the same analogy to understand how inheritance looks like in C++. Here is the same analogy. Here we can think of dog and cat as derived classes, and they have inherited common properties and behaviors from the base class animals. This is how we can imagine inheritance in C++. I hope the meaning of inheritance is clear to you. When we say something inherits from some other thing, then that means it inherits properties and behaviors from that specific thing. I hope this is clear to you. Now let's understand how we can define derived classes in our C++ programs. Defining a base class is same as defining any other class, but derived class follows a different syntax. Now let's understand the syntax of the derived class. This is how we can define a derived class. We need to provide the class keyword just like any other class, then the name of the derived class, after this colon, and then the access specifier. Access specifier tells what type of inheritance we are performing, and then comes the base class name. After this, within braces, we can provide the code for the derived class. And then just like any other class, we need to put semicolon at the end of the closing brace. So this is how we define derived classes in C++. This syntax will be more clear once we discuss one example of inheritance. This is what we will discuss in the next topic. For now, we have understood this syntax. Now, you might be thinking what inheritance is good for. What is the significance of inheritance? Why do we acquire properties and behaviors of one class into another class? Why do we do this? The reason is simple. It promotes code reusability because it allows reusing the base class code in derived classes. Let's take one situation to properly understand what is code reusability and how inheritance promotes code reusability. Let's say in our C++ program, we need to define multiple classes. And in those classes, we also want to define member functions and data members that are common to all the classes. We can do one thing, we can define data members and member functions in all the classes, but this is wasteful because we need to repeat a lot of code. Repetition of code is not efficient at all. This is what we already know. Now, to avoid this, we can do one thing. We can define a base class, and in that base class, we can put all the data members and member functions that are common to all the classes. And we allow other classes to inherit from the base class. So we can perform inheritance to promote code reusability. We do not have to define data members and member functions that are common to all the classes in all the classes. Instead, we can define them in one class and allow other classes to inherit from that class. This is what inheritance is all about, and this is the importance of inheritance. It promotes code reusability, and hence it reduces the repetition of the code. So with this, we have properly understood the basics of inheritance. This means we are done with the first topic. Now let's move to the second topic and let's understand through an example how inheritance works in C++. Here is the example program. Here I have defined this class animal with public member functions eat and sleep. The function eat allows us to display this animal eats food, and the function sleep allows us to display this animal sleeps. This is the class animal. Now here I have defined this derived class dog. This is the derived class because here we have followed the syntax of the derived class. Here you can observe that the class dog is inheriting from the animal class. So this is treated as the base class and this is treated as the derived class. Here you can observe I am following the same syntax. First I have provided the class keyword, then the name of the derived class, then the colon and then access specifier public. You will get to know what is the significance of public access specifier later in this course. For now, just understand that public will do the job here. After this, I have specified the base class animal. Now, this means that dog can access these functions. This is because dog is the derived class of the base class animal, and therefore it can access these member functions. Now inside this class, here you can observe I have defined this public member function bark that allows us to display this animal barks. This function belongs to this class only. It is unique to this class. Now after this, I have defined this class cat. This is also the derived class and it is inheriting from the class animal. Therefore, this class can also access these member functions. There is no need to define these member functions here. This is what code reusability is. Now here I have defined this public member function meow that allows us to display this animal meows. So this is the code we have. Now here is the main function where I have defined these two objects D and C of classes dog and cat respectively. Now let's say I want to display the behavior of the dog with the help of the object of the class dog. First, with the help of stdcout, I am displaying this message dog behavior. Then after this, let's say I want to call these three functions eat, sleep and bark, that too with the help of the object D. This is how it looks like. Here I'm calling these functions through the object D. Now we know when we execute this program, we will get the output as expected. We are getting this output because we can access eat and sleep functions within this class. This means we can access these functions through the object of this class. That is why we are seeing this output. Here we have this animal eats food. We are getting this message because of d.eat. Then we are getting this animal sleeps because of d.sleep. And then we are getting this animal barks because of d.bark. I hope this is clear to you. Now, in the same way, let's display the behavior of the cat as well. For this purpose, we will use the object of the cat, which is C. And through this object, we will now call these three functions. We will call eat, sleep, and meow like this. Now we know what we will get as the output. We are getting this output, cat behavior, as this animal eats food, this animal sleeps, this animal meows. So with this, it is clear how inheritance works in C++. Here you can observe that we have easily promoted the code reusability. These functions are defined in this class only. They are not defined in these classes. Still, we would be able to access these functions with the help of the objects of these classes. And this is the power of inheritance. With this, we have understood our second topic as well, and this means we are done with this lecture. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture. I will see you in the next one.